So we should be recording now. So we're going to start comfortable seated today. And this morning's session is all about kind of finding that, finding spinal, that ripple along the spine. So often when we're moving into the back of our bodies, into the spine, we end up, without even realizing it, moving as kind of big blocks of movement, so either into the shoulders or into the hips, and this sort of movement. We want to be encouraging this sort of movement into the spine. So kind of playing around with that spinal articulation. And for some of us, that will be the idea of spinal articulation rather than the reality, because some of it comes in time, partly through body awareness and partly through losing some of that stiffness that might have built up over time. So, options to play with, and please listen to where your body needs to go. There's no kind of, this is the perfect version of what we're doing. So just finding where you need to be. So we're going to start comfortable seated. Now for some of us that'll be cross-legged, for some of us it'll be kneeling, maybe kind of finding a zigzag shape into the legs, finding wherever is comfortable for you. And take a moment to arrive. So often we kind of come to the yoga mat, particularly if we've been at home more than usual, it's hard to kind of switch off and get our head into that next space. And so maybe just take a little bit of time just to let the head catch up with where the body has got to. A really good way of doing that is through the breath. So we can start to tune in to the breath. Notice where it's traveling to in the body and observing as it leaves the body. So you're not trying to force it or control it, just maybe for the first time today, noticing that you are breathing. And let anything that's already happened today, anything that's still to come, rest outside of this space. Maybe choosing a place, a physical place where you might like to park it in your mind, either return to later or just to leave it. And notice the forehead, notice the jaw, seeing if we can invite that idea of softening into the body. Just let it settle, let it be held by gravity. And then when you're ready, we'll start to bring movement into the body, starting with the very top of the spine, with the neck. We're going to bring the head over to one shoulder, and then all the way through center as we travel through to the other. Moving between these 2 points, we don't need to come as far as we possibly can. We're just starting to have that polite conversation with the body. And then when you're ready, if it feels comfortable, we can drop the chin to the chest as we roll. Start to draw semicircles with the chin over to one side and then all the way through to the other. So we're starting to unstick into the back of the neck, into the tops of the shoulders, and at some points, even in between the shoulder blades. So noticing all those little shifts and ripples into the body, they're always happening, we just forget to pay attention. And then the next time that the head comes up, we can bring it back to the center to rest lightly on top of the neck. We're going to bring the right ear over to the right shoulder. Feel the stretch as gravity eases the ear down. Feel the stretch across the left side of the neck. And then gently coming back through to center, and then the left ear over to the left shoulder again. Release into gravity. We're not trying to force the ear down. Start to feel the stretch across the right side of the shoulder. And then all the way back through. We're going to bring one thumb onto one collarbone and the other finger comes on top. And then the other hand rests lightly there. So taking a deep breath in here. And on the out breath, the head releases back. Keep the hands where they are. So we start to feel a stretch across the front of the throat, maybe up into the jaw. And then the next time that we breathe out, chin can come to the chest. Breathing in, head releases back. And breathing out, chin to the chest. So we start to feel space across the front of the neck on the in-breath and space across the back of the neck on the out-breath. Lovely, one more time here, working with the pace of your own breath. And then start to release the hands to wherever's comfortable. We're going to move down the spine, traveling through to the shoulders now, into the thorax, so the kind of rib cage upwards. Now for some of us, it'll feel really nice to kind of come into a quite structured linear movement. So we can shrug the shoulders up and then down, or we can bring the hands on top of the shoulders and start to circle round. But others may want to just explore movement. So that might not be symmetrical. It might just be moving around into the shoulders, into the thorax, into the ribs. So moving where feels good. There's no right or wrong, or should I be doing this or should I be doing that? It's about working with your own body and starting to tune into that. The word yoga in Sanskrit translates as union. So that can be union of the breath and the movement, or union of the body and the mind. Lovely. So whatever movement we've started to make, next time that we breathe in, the arms come all the way up. And then on the out breath, we're twisting around. Seeing if we can bring the ribs around first, and then the hands come down. And then breathing in, arms through center. Bring the ribs round first, and then the arms come down. Lovely. It's very easy, carrying on with the breath, very easy to twist into the shoulders, and actually the ribs stay exactly where they are. So seeing if we can explore the idea of spinal rotation rather than just into the shoulders. Lovely. And then the next time that the arms come up, right hand comes down, left arm reaches over, and then shifting through to the other side. So rather than trying to come down as far as we possibly can, we're pressing the sides of the ribs up towards the sky, so getting a nice lateral stretch into the obliques and the tiny little muscles in between the ribs. Lovely. One more time on each side, again working with the pace of your own breath, gently unwinding. Lovely. And then bringing the hands onto the knees, we're going to round into the back of the body as the chin drops down, and then breathing in to start to send the heart through. So we have worked into the neck, into the shoulders, into the thorax, now starting to shift down into the lower back. So we've worked our way all the way down the spine. Maybe start to make those movements out towards the side as well. And feeling your way through. So making the movement as big or as small, as fast or as slow as you wish. And circle around in the other direction as well. And then when you're ready, we're going to make our way to all fours. So hands spread wide. And stacking them underneath the shoulders. And for a moment, start to either come forwards and backwards, onto the wrists and side to side, or for some of us it'll feel really nice just to circle around. What we're doing here, in the same way that we've been working into the soft tissue along the back of the body into the spine, we're doing that with the wrists now, so giving them a little bit of attention and then circle around in the other direction. We can turn the wrists towards one another, so the fingers are out towards the side now, and do the same. So maybe side to side, forwards and backwards, or maybe circling around. And we're not trying to go as far as we possibly can. We're just easing, unsticking. The whole idea is just to unstick. And then there's the option to turn one last time. So this time thumbs out towards the side and fingers pointing down towards the knees. Option to walk the knees in a little bit here if it feels strong across the front of the wrists. And again, maybe forwards, backwards, side to side, or maybe start to circle through. Just exploring movement. What feedback am I getting from my body? What feedback do I get from my breath here? Starting to find those connections, your yoga. And then we can turn hands back up towards the top of the mat. We're going to tune in now just into the lower back. So not letting the ribs move, not kind of coming into cat-cow just yet. We're going to lift the tailbone only, tiny movement, and then exhaling to flatten the tailbone. The moment that the lower ribs want to join in, that's when we stop. So just exploring, tilting into the pelvis. One more time, connecting with your own breath, inhaling to arch, exhaling to flatten, and then we can let the belly drop through and the heart draw towards the front of the mat, gaze forwards, and then exhaling, tuck the tailbone. Feel that movement rippling up every single vertebra. Space between the shoulder blades, head hangs down, and then reverse that ripple. So again, rather than hinging into the shoulders and into the hips, We're exploring that ripple along the spine and working with the pace of your own breath with that as well. Lovely. We've got the option to start to bring that right knee into the nose. Right leg comes out behind. Maybe left elbow on the exhale. Inhaling to open up. Lovely. And then we can bring the right foot to the outside of the right hand. Now, some of us, we can just move around here. So it might help to bring the attention to circles into the hips, or perhaps circling into that right knee, or maybe shifting across the sole of that right foot. Slightly different awareness into the body with all of those different points. So choosing where feels right for you. Where do I get that most sense of softening into my body? And we're circling in both directions. And then wherever we've got to, bringing that right foot out parallel to the left knee, pressing through the outer edge of that right foot so the inner thigh starts to engage. And then with control, we lift that right leg. So you start to feel the glute firing up, and then send that right foot slowly to place that right ball of the foot down, gaze over the left shoulder, and then breathing in slowly. So moving between these 2 points, but rather than skipping from point A to point B, seeing if we can feel the whole way through the movement. Slow, steady, even movement with control. Lovely. And no rush. But when you're ready, next time that the right foot comes down, pausing there, pressing down through the outer edge of the right foot, inner thigh engages, left leg, left arm comes out. So we've got a straight line, left arm, left knee, right leg. Breathing in to open up into the heart and exhaling to thread that right arm through. Inhaling to ripple the heart open. So again, finding that spiral into the spine. Exhaling down. Option to lift that right leg if you want. So just choosing where feels right for your body today. And then the next time that we exhale, right foot comes down, right hand comes onto that right leg as the left arm lifts. Lovely space across the side of the left ribs. We're either bringing that left hand down or maybe bringing it to a hover as we come down, and then breathing in to lift up. Exhaling either the hand down or coming to a hover. Lovely. Working with the pace of your own breath. And then when you're ready, hands come down. Knees together, toes together, knees wide. And send the sit bones back. So coming into child's pose. And then rolling through onto the forearms as the heart lifts. And exhaling to press and round. So again, that idea of rippling up and down the back of the body, scooping the heart through and exhaling back down. Really nice. Next time that we breathe in, pausing here, knees coming back in line. We can circle the hips in one direction and circling them in the other. Lovely. And then returning back to stillness, we're going to find that ripple up and down the back of the body again. Tailbone tucks, rippling up into the shoulders, head comes down, breathing in to reverse that ripple. Lovely. Exhaling to round. So seeing if you can completely connect the movement with the pace of your own breath. And then there's the option to bring the left knee into the nose. Left leg comes out behind. Maybe right elbow joins in. Right arm coming out. Lovely, really nice. And then we can bring that left foot to the outside of the left hand. So maybe it feels the same on this side, or maybe it feels different. So just choosing where you need to go. Circling into the sole of the left foot, or into the knee, or into the left hip. Different feedback into the body. And wherever we are, we're circling in both directions. Lovely. And then bringing that left foot out parallel to the knee, outer edge of that left foot. And slowly, slowly lifting. This time as the ball of the left foot comes down, goes over the right shoulder. So we get a stretch across the left side of the body. with control, coming all the way back through. Lovely. So not just skipping from point A to point B, all of the space in between as well. So it really is the journey, not the destination here. Tuning into that awareness within the body. Lovely. And then the next time that the left leg comes up parallel to the knee, the right hand can come down. Breathing in, sweeping the heart open. On the exhale, threading through. Breathing in to lift and expand. And exhaling. Lovely. So again, so working with the pace of your own breath. Find that spiral into the spine as the lower ribs want to turn towards the sky. And then next time that we lift it up, this time left hand onto the left leg. Ribs reaching up. So rather than trying to come down as far as we can, ribs up towards the sky. And then either that right hand comes down or we bring it to a hover. Lovely. Breathing into lift. And exhaling all the way down. Lovely. Inhaling. Yeah, listening to the feedback from your own body, your own breath. And then the hands come down, knees come wide, toes together. Shift the weight back and then rolling forwards. Seeing if we can get every single vertebra to join in here. Exhaling back, inhaling forwards. Lovely, one more time here. Again, the pace of your own breath. And then hands coming down, knees underneath the hips, circling, rolling into the hips. Maybe we let that movement travel up into the shoulders. So it's almost like we're doing sideways cat-cows here, barrel rolling all the way up into the body, encouraging just movement into the spine. Every single joint starts to wake up. Lovely. We're going to tuck the toes under and bring the knees to a hover. Lovely. Press into the hands, hands active. Sit bones lift. So we've got a straight line from the hands all the way down into the tailbone. We can shake the head no and nod the head yes. And then maybe start to drop one heel and then the other as we slowly edge our way, perhaps into the first downward facing dog of the day. So really feeling your way into it. And then start to bring the gaze to the hands. We're going to step or walk the feet to the top of the mat and rise with a flat back, hands onto the shins. Hands come above the knees as we bend into the knees and then start to draw the heart through. Stick the tailbone out. Exhaling to round. Lovely. Breathing in. So almost like a cat-cow but standing. Exhaling. One last breath here. Breathing in and breathing out. And then rolling through the shoulders, coming all the way up to standing. Lovely. So we're going to move through some sun salutes, getting warmth into the body here. Breathing in to lift the gaze. Urdhva. Exhaling, swan dive the body down. Forward fold. Breathing in to lift halfway. Hands down, feet back. And then the knees lower. Visualizing straight line from the crown of the head, the shoulders into the hips. We're going to lower that straight line as one. So no part meets the ground before another. Lovely. Breathing in, ease the hands away and opening up into the heart, firing up into the deep back muscles. Hands under the shoulders. As we ripple through, send the sit bones to the heels, tuck the toes under, and then send the hips high, downward facing dog. We can shake the head no, we can nod the head yes. We can pedal out into the legs. So again, we don't need to get stuck in this idea of a shape. We can feel our way through into this downward facing dog. And then when you're ready, stepping, walking to the top of the mat, rise with a flat back, hands to the shins or maybe fingertips. Breathing out to fold. Press down into the feet, lifting the gaze. And hands coming through the midline. Let's carry on with the breath. Breathing into lift. Exhaling, swan dive the body down. Inhale to lift halfway. Hands down, feet back, arriving in plank. Lowering with the knees down, or perhaps with the knees lifted, you choose. Breathing in, either finding cobra onto the belly, or hands under the shoulders, legs away from the mat as we find our upward dog. Shifting through down facing dog, sit bones lift. Again, space between the hands, between the fingers, and into the back of the body. So send the breath into the back of the body here. And then we can start to step or walk to the top of the mat, rise with a flat back. On the out breath, we fold. Press down into the feet, lifting the gaze. And hands back to the heart. From here, we bend into the knees, arms come along, parallel to the ears, chair pose. Exhaling to fold. We're going to send the right leg back, right knee down, right hand down, left arm lifts. On the in-breath, both hands down, and on the out-breath, the right arm lifts, so twisting through to the other side. We'll do one more on each side. Again, working at the pace of your own breath here, finding that fluidity, that kind of ebb and flow of the movement with the breath. Hands down, feet back, finding our plank. Front of the body zips up. Either lowering with the knees down or with the knees lifted. Find your back bend. Staying low or coming higher. Exhaling down, facing dog. This time, right leg lifts, left knee down, and the right foot steps through. Sounds wrong, but it's right. And we rise. Lovely. We're going to twist to one side, doesn't matter which one. And then on the in-breath, coming back through center, exhale to twist to the other side. Option to lift the back knee for the second round. Lovely. Turning it into a balance. And then when you're ready, hands windmill all the way down. We're going to step back either into plank or downward facing dog or a child's pose. If we're in plank, we're going to lower down and then find your back bend and then finding downward facing dog. And breathe. Maybe breathing in through the nose and sighing the breath out through the mouth. Maybe one more breath like that. From here, we can step, walk, or maybe jump to the top of the mat, rise with a flat back. And on the out breath, we fold. Bend into the knees, Utkatasana, chair pose. And coming all the way back through center. Lovely, we'll do one more on the other side. So breathing in, arms along the ears, chair. Exhaling to fold down, flowing the body down. On the in-breath, the arms coming up halfway. And this time it's the left leg that steps back, left knee down, left hand down, and the right arm lifts. All the way through center on the in-breath. Exhaling to the other side. Doing one more on each side. So again, work with the pace of your own breath, but the idea of spiraling into the spine. Lovely. And then hands down. Stepping back into plank. Choosing how you want to lower. Choose your back bend, staying low or bringing the hips away. And exhaling, downward facing dog. From here, left leg lifts, right knee down, left foot steps through. Lovely, sounds wrong, but it's right. Breathing into lift. So rather than coming forwards, we're lifting up. We're going to twist to one side. All the way through center on the in-breath, twisting through to the other. Option to lift the back knee for the second round, if you wish. Lovely. And then when you're ready, windmill the hands down. Choosing downward dog, child's pose, or perhaps another vinyasa. Lowering the body, finding a back bend, and exhaling downward dog. And we breathe, find that connection into the back of the body. Sit bones lift. Get that sense of the body being drawn in two directions. Hands and feet provide the foundation. And the sit bones floating up through the power in the legs and the hands. When you're ready, stepping, walking, or maybe jumping to the top of the mat, rise with a flat back. Exhaling to fold. Bending into the knees, coming back into our Utkatasana, chair pose. And then hands through the midline as we rise. So we're going to move through a kind of rolling, waving sequence. There's a few options to play with, so I'm going to very quickly demo a few of the options for Vashisthasana. So Vashisthasana is our side plank, and then we'll kind of move into the flow. So option number one is to bring back knee out, inside edge of that leg, and we lift the arm. So option number one. Option number two is to bring that leg away. Option number three, one leg in front of the other, so that gives us a bit more balance. Option number four, one leg stacked on top of the other. Option number five, leg lifts. Option number six, leg out in front. So we'll be moving through this a few times, so choosing different options for where you need to be each time. So finding our way back to the top of the mat, breathing in, lift the gaze, and exhaling, swan diving the body down, soften the knees. Inhale to lift halfway, hands down, feet back, finding our plank, zipping up through the front of the body. We're going to shift to one side to find our first side plank, you choose. And then shifting through center, both hands down, and then finding side plank on the other side. On the next in-breath, hands come down, knees come down, and the hands walk forwards. So we have the hips above the knees, finding our poppy pose or our Anahata Asana. On the in-breath, the movement comes from the back of the body as we tuck the tailbone under and scoop the belly through and find our way onto our forearms. Lovely, so we're finding our way into a sphinx. From here, we can make our way back into plank as you wish. So either with the knees down or with the knees lifted. And then knees come down, sit bones back into child's pose. Breathing in, send the weight forward, space between the shoulder blades as the head is heavy. And then tuck the toes under and the sit bones lift back into downward facing dog. From here, we can step, walk, or maybe jump the feet to the top of the mat. We're finding our Malasana. For some of us, hips will be low. For some of us, hips will be high. For some of us, heels will be down. For some of us, heels will be up. So just choosing where it feels right. We can make this a movement side to side into the hips. We can use this to find space into the hips, elbows pressing the knees out to the side. Or we can explore this as a spinal rotation. So we can bring one hand down and lift the opposite, or have the hand onto the lower back, and then do the same on the other side. So really, there is no right or wrong here. It's about finding where feels right for you each time. But as I say, we'll be moving through this a few times. So these are the options to play with. When we're ready, the head drops down and we roll through every single vertebra, restacking all the way up. Lovely. We find ourselves back at the top of the mat. We'll move through that again, connecting with the breath. Breathing into lift. And exhaling, swan dive the body down. Breathing into lift halfway. Hands down, feet back as we find our plank. Moving through side plank. Choose your option for this side. Breathing in through center and shifting through to side plank on the other side. Hands come down, knees come down, hands walk forwards. Breathing, gazing between the hands, and then tuck the tailbone under. The movement travels all the way up the back of the body as the forearms come down. Lovely. Draw the heart through, gaze forwards. And then the hands come under the shoulders, pressing up either with the knees down or the knees lifted. Knees come down, sit bones back, child's pose. Breathing in, send the movement in between the shoulder blades as the weight comes forwards. Tuck the toes under, send the weight back, down facing dog. Space between the ears and the shoulders. We can shake the head no, nod the head yes. When you're ready, we can step, walk or jump the feet wide at the top of the mat as we find our Malasana, our yogic squat. So maybe shifting through side to side, maybe finding stillness. Wherever we are, connecting back in with the breath. Lovely. And then we can bring the hands down, head rolls down. As we send the sit bones high, rolling through every single vertebra, restacking. All the way up to standing. Lovely. Breathing in at the top. Gaze to the hands. Exhaling, swan dive the body down. Inhale to lift halfway. Hands down, feet back, finding plank. Choosing your Vashisthasana this time. And then back through center on the in-breath. Vashisthasana on the other side. As the hands come down, knees come down, hands walk forwards. Breathing in, ripple along the back of the body as the weight comes forwards, forearms onto the ground. Draw shoulder blades towards one another. Lovely. And then making our way back up into our plank. Knees down as we come back into child's pose. Breathing in, shift the weight forwards, tuck the toes under, and then shift the weight backwards, downward facing dog. Sit bones lift. Stepping, walking to the top of the mat. Find our Malasana this time. Maybe the same as last time, maybe different. You choose. Maybe exploring with the heels lifted if the heels are down, or vice versa. Lovely. And then when you're ready, head down, legs start to straighten as we roll up, back to standing. We'll carry on moving with the breath, so we start to get that muscle memory connecting into the body. Exhaling, softening down, forward fold. Breathing into lift halfway. Hands down, feet back, finding plank. Choosing your variation of Vashisthasana for this time. And then back through center, Vashisthasana for this time. Lovely. As we come back through center, knees come down, hands walk forwards. Breathing in to travel all the way through onto the belly, forearms down. And then making our way back up to plank. Knees down, sit bones back, child's pose. Rippling through the spine, send the weight forwards. Tuck the toes under, downward facing dog. Stepping, walking, jumping the feet to the top of the mat, nice and wide. As we find this Malasana, this breath. Where do I need to be this time? And then the head drops down as we roll through the back of the body, rebuilding into the spine. We'll do a couple more rounds there, breathing into lift. Exhaling, swan dive the body down. Inhale to lift halfway. Hands down, feet back. Choose your variation this time. Lovely. And then back through center on the in-breath. Choose your variation for this side. Maybe the same, maybe different. And then making our way back into plank. Knees down, hands forwards. Feel that movement traveling from the breath as we bring the heart all the way through, forearms down. Hands under the shoulders, pressing back into plank. Sit bones down towards the heels, child's pose. Breathing in, weight comes forwards. Breathing out, weight comes back and up, down the dog. And stepping, walking, jumping to the top of the mat. Finding Malasana for this time. Option to explore the bind as the hands wrap round from one side to the other as well. Lovely. And then wherever we've got to, bringing the head down, rolling through the back of the body. We'll do one more there. So breathing in. Exhaling, swan dive the body down. Breathing into lift halfway. Hands down, feet back. Lovely. Choose your final side plank for this side. Lovely. All the way through center, and then final side plank to the other side. Hands down, knees down, hands walk forwards. Our last puppy pose. Draw the heart down towards the ground, and then rippling from the tailbone all the way up into the shoulders as the forearms come down. Lovely. Pressing back into our plank, and then the knees come down. Child's pose. Lovely, breathing in, weight comes forwards into the shoulders. Tuck the toes under, sit bones lift, downward facing dog. Stepping, walking, jumping, the feet to the top of the mat. Shifting through into whatever space you need to explore here. And maybe the hips are lifted. You can still play with the same options, lovely. And then gently, maybe with control, or maybe not, we bring the sit bones down with as much or little dignity as you wish. So we're going to find the soles of the feet together and moving the sit bones out behind us. So that helps us to tilt into the pelvis. Now for some of us, it'll feel nice to bring the hands around the feet and gently butterfly the knees up and down. For some of us, it'll feel nice to bring the weight forwards to turn it into a groin stretch into the inner edge of the thighs. Or for some of us to bring the hands behind and lift up into the heart. So choose where it feels good. Play around with the options. This is not a game of Esther says or Simon says or anything like that. Lovely. And then wherever we've got to, we're going to bring the left leg out in front of us and the right knee into the chest. We're going to cross right leg over the top. To begin with, we're not going for a twist. We're going to bring the right knee over towards the left shoulder. And some of us will feel it straight away into the sit bones. Others will want to walk the foot out to the side. That doesn't make it a more advanced version. It's just about how your joints hang together in the hip. How the bones hang out in the hip joint. So just feeling that point where you get that feedback into the outer edge of that right sit bone. And then we can gently, if the foot's out to the side, gently bring that back in. So from here, we're going to find a twist, but for a moment, just find it with the arms. So breathing into lift and then exhaling, bring the arms, one arm in front, one arm behind. Now, I don't know about you guys, but for me, I've twisted into my shoulders, my stomach, belly button is still pointing exactly the same way forward, so are my ribs. So I've just kind of yanked into my shoulders. So let's see if we can get the whole of the spine to join in here as well. So we're going to bring that left arm onto the right knee, right hand onto the lower ribs on the left side. And we're not using this to pull, we're just using this as a bit of feedback. So breathing in to lengthen up. And on the out breath, we're twisting that hand over to the side. Lovely. Breathing in, hand onto the heart, finding a little bit of space. And on the exhale, the heart twists around. Next time we breathe in, finding space, and then this time the right hand comes behind. Lovely. So you feel how we're twisting further into the spine, spinal rotation, rather than just into the shoulders. Left foot stays active. Option to bring that left elbow onto the knee. Or we can thread left hand through behind and then find the right hand behind that. And then the gaze can come over to that right shoulder. And we breathe, find that spiraling out the back of the body. Wherever we have got to, we can start to gently unravel. So the head comes first, then the shoulders, then the heart, and then the ribs. Doing a mini press up towards the other side. And then we'll swap the legs around. So bringing soles of the feet together, pausing in a Baddha Konasana just for a moment, either butterflying the knees up and down or finding that forward reach of the heart. And then this time it's the right leg out straight, left knee crosses over. To begin with, I'm not going for a twist, keeping everything facing forwards, left knee towards that right shoulder. Maybe we feel that straight away, or maybe we walk the left foot out to the side. Again, feedback into the outer edge of that left sit bone. It's the glute med and the piriformis muscle just in here. And then if the leg's out to the side, walking it back through. And this time, left hand onto the ribs, not to pull or to force, but just to give us that awareness into our own body. And the right arm wraps around. Breathing in to find space, and on the exhale, that hand turns around towards the side. Breathing in, hand onto the heart, and exhaling, the heart twists around. And then on the next in breath, we find a bit of space, and exhaling, left hand comes behind. And the gaze can come over that left shoulder. Right foot stays active. Option to bring elbow onto the knee. Option to thread right hand through to find the left hands behind us. So again, finding your own connection, your own yoga, your own union with your breath and your movement and your body and your mind. And when you're ready, gently unraveling head first, then the shoulders, then the heart, then the ribs, doing a mini press up towards the other side. Lovely. So from here, we're going to make our way down to lying. And when we come into Shavasana or relaxation, the body has a tendency for the body temperature to drop because we're staying still. So you might want to get some layers on and create your very own little Zen den from the comfort of your home. Whatever it is that's going to help with that, blankets, layers, something to place it lightly over the eyes, whether that's an eye pillow or just the sleeve of a top. And we're going to make our way down to lying. So we can do that just by lying down. Or there's the option to bring the hands onto the knees and start to draw the heart through, and then exhaling to drop back, feel the weight coming into the back of the shoulders between the shoulder blades. Breathing in to come through and lift, and exhaling, rippling through the spine. So again, that articulation, finding that ripple all the way along the spine. This time, as we bring the weight back, we can release the hands and slowly start to place every single vertebra down. So as we find ourselves on the mat, take a moment to adjust and to shift. So we can lift up the sit bones and slightly tuck into the lower back. We can do any last movements that the body's looking for. So hugging knees into the chest and just gently circling them in one direction and then in the other. It might feel nice to bring the arms out wide and to twist to one side and then all the way through center as to come through to the other side. Or it might feel really good to do a full body stretch. Lengthen the arms away and the feet away, maybe into one side and then into the other. So any last minute adjustments and movements that the body's looking for. And then we can start to move towards stillness. So a shape where we can just be still and press save on our practice. So traditionally the legs would be out straight about mat distance apart, so it's a bit wider than we might imagine. And the palms up towards the sky, resting just away from the hips. However, any other shape that the body's looking for, knees bent, elbows bent, knees dropping into the center, then choosing where you need to be. And we can close the eyes or soften the gaze if we haven't already. And exactly the same as at the beginning, take a moment to arrive here. So let the body and mind catch up with one another. We can scan all the way along the body. Any parts that we come into contact with, we can invite them to soften. The crown of the head, the forehead, all of the tiny little muscles around the eyes release. The jaw is soft, the tongue is soft in the mouth. The throat relaxed. The shoulders easing into the floor, completely supported. Upper arms and elbows, lower arms and wrists release. Backs of the hands, palms of the hands, and fingers soften. The whole of the back of the body, shoulder blades, ribs, mid-back, lower back. No need to be doing anything. Completely held. Hips are heavy, upper legs and knees, lower legs and ankles release. Tops of the feet, soles of the feet and toes soften. Everything completely held. As we arrive in our Shavasana, and knowing that if the mind starts to wander, that is completely natural. Any time that we notice it, we can gently And persistently guide the awareness back to notice the next in-breath and to notice your next out-breath, that amazing ebb and flow, always there to return to. Slowly bringing awareness back into the body, reconnecting the body with the mind and the mind with the body. Slowly passing tips of the fingers over tips of the thumbs, moving into the hands, the wrists, the arms, moving into the toes, the feet, the ankles and the legs. And no rush, but when you're ready, rolling to lie on the side, keeping the eyes closed just for a moment longer. Using the arms to ease you back up into comfortable seated, whatever shape that happens to be. And we close, having gone full circle, finding the connection with the ground, rooting down into the support from the earth as the crown of the head lifts tall, space between every single vertebra. And we can breathe into that space that we've created, breathing in fully. And exhaling, completely letting go of the breath. Breathing in fully, absorbing what we need from the day, from the week, from the practice. And exhaling completely, letting go of anything that no longer serves us. On the in-breath, the arms reach all the way above the head, palms meet at the center. And the exhale, thumbs trace the midline, coming to rest at the heart. Bowing the head towards the hands and slowly blinking the eyes open, letting the light gently filter back in.